Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence in this case will show that Michael Jackson literally put his life in the hands of Conrad Murray. The evidence in this case will show that Michael Jackson trusted his life to the medical skills of Conrad Murray. The evidence will further show unequivocally that that misplaced trust had far too high a price to pay. What you will learn through the evidence is that what happened during that time frame is that the acts and the omissions of Michael Jackson's personal doctor, Conrad Murray, directly led to his premature death at the age of 50. Murray figuratively and literally abandoned Michael Jackson on June 25th, 2009. He left this vulnerable man filled with Valium and midazolam and lorazepam and propofol with no medical monitoring equipment, no necessary resuscitative equipment. He left him there, abandoned him to fend for himself. It violates not only every standard of care, but decency from one human being to another. It will be clear that Conrad Murray abandoned Michael when he needed help. It was Conrad Murray's gross negligence. It was Conrad Murray's unskilled hands and his desire to obtain this lucrative contract of $150,000 a month that led Dr. Murray not only to abandon his patient, but to abandon all principles of medical care. Conrad Murray's actions, Conrad Murray's omissions to act, directly caused the death of Michael Jackson. No medical documents were recovered, and when they were subpoenaed and requested, the only documents provided related to care months, if not years before. No medical records documented any of this care at 100 North Carrollwood. This is an extreme, egregious violation and represents gross negligence standing alone. Basic common sense requires that 911 be called immediately. Basic common sense. And we know that was not done. This is another extreme deviation from the standard of care and amounts to gross negligence. Where Conrad Murray was working not for the best interest of Michael Jackson, not for the health of Michael Jackson. Dr. Murray was working for $150,000 a month. He was an employee. He acted as an employee. He did not act as a medical professional using sound medical judgment. In an egregious and unethical violation of the standard of care, the evidence shows Conrad Murray deceived the paramedics. When specifically asked what agents had been given, he never once mentioned propofol. As a team of paramedics worked to bring Michael back to life, Conrad Murray remained silent as to the propofol he had administered. This is an extreme, unethical, and unconscionable violation of the standard of care and is by itself gross negligence. But this was repeated once again upon his arrival to UCLA, where he deceived the emergency room doctors. When specifically asked by Dr. Wynn, when specifically asked by Dr. Cooper what had been administered, Conrad Murray mentioned lorazepam. He made no mention of propofol to these doctors trying to save Michael's life. Conrad Murray, as the doctor on scene, had a legal duty of care to use his best medical judgment to do no harm to Michael Jackson. What we learned is that Dr. Murray went to Applied Pharmacy in Las Vegas and met with pharmacist Tim Lopez. Conrad Murray was not honest with Tim Lopez, and Conrad Murray indicated that he had a clinic in California when no such clinic or medical office existed. But interesting to note, as it relates to Conrad Murray's knowledge of what these drugs were doing and his willingness to proceed with this manner of care in this fashion, we learn that on May 10th, 2009, Conrad Murray made a voice recording on his iPhone. His iPhone had an application called iTalk. And although an application on the iPhone is just like any other digital voice recorder, forensic computer specialists analyzed that iPhone and found this voice recording. They were able to timestamp it and date stamp it. The recording was made on May 10th, 2009 at 9:05 a.m. On that recording, you will hear Michael's voice. On that recording, you will hear the voice of Conrad Murray. The evidence will reveal that this voice recording documents Michael Jackson highly under the influence of unknown agents, with Dr. Murray evidently sitting nearby, evidently observing, maybe listening, but recording on his iPhone. What this evidence will reveal to you is Conrad Murray's knowledge of Michael's state on May 10th, 2009. What this evidence will reveal to you is Conrad Murray's knowledge of what he is doing to Michael Jackson. And you'll see footage of Michael performing on June 23rd, 2009. And by all accounts, it was a successful rehearsal at the Staples Center. Michael appeared strong, he was optimistic, and he was looking to the future. And he was looking to get the tour off the ground and head out to London. The following night, rehearsals resumed again. That's June 24th, 2009. And again, the rehearsal went well. Michael was engaged. He was optimistic. In fact, you'll hear from Kenny Ortega that Michael was excited because the next day they were going to be performing an illusion that was going to be part of the tour. And Michael always loved that type of magical illusion aspect of these shows. And so Kenny had told him that tomorrow we're going to do the illusion. And Michael was looking forward to coming back that next day to participate in that illusion. Conrad Murray begins instructing Alberto Alvarez immediately upon his entry into the room and tells him, grab a bag. And Conrad Murray grabs a handful of vials from the nightstand and drops them in the bag. He also tells Alberto Alvarez to grab the saline bag, or the bag hanging from the IV stand in the room. Alberto Alvarez does so. And Alberto Alvarez notes that it was actually a bag that appeared to be clear in nature, and it had a bottle inside of it. A bottle that we later learned to be a propofol bottle. Alvarez complies with the requests of Dr. Murray, and what we know is subsequently this is corroborated by law enforcement, because when they go back to search the house on June 29th, they find a bag, and inside that bag is an empty saline bag, which you'll see in court, but it's slit open from top to bottom. And inside that bag, you'll hear from the coroner investigator, they found this 100 milliliter bottle of propofol inside the bag. And you will hear testimony about the significance of that when the medical experts come in and explain it to you. The people will ask you in no uncertain terms to return with a verdict of guilty for the solitary crime charged involuntary manslaughter, premised on the gross negligence of Conrad Murray. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence in this case will show that Michael Jackson literally put his life in the hands of Conrad Murray. The evidence in this case will show that Michael Jackson trusted his life to the medical skills of Conrad Murray. The evidence will further show unequivocally that that misplaced trust had far too high a price to pay. Figuratively and literally abandoned Michael Jackson on June 25th, 2009. He left this vulnerable man filled with Valium and midazolam and lorazepam and propofol with no medical monitoring equipment, no necessary resuscitative equipment. He left him there, abandoned him to fend for himself. It violates not only every standard of care, but decency from one human being to another.